All right, y'all about to get started momentarily. If y'all can have your seats. Good evening, everybody. A little bit louder for me now. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I like that. My name is Bobby Britto Oliveira, and I want to welcome you all to the 14th Annual ACN Alumni Color Network Panel. Please give yourselves a round of applause and our panelists. Along with my sister, Sarah Montero, I share the role as a co-chair, and so it's great to have y'all here. Our esteemed alumni, our panelists, and you all as our guests, our audience members, our future alumni, faculty, staff. Great to have y'all. My URI journey began in 2001 in the Talent Development Program, TD Nation. Shout out to TD. Who's TD in here? All right. 5 years later, I gained my bachelor's degrees from the University of Rhode Island. Later came back to complete my master's degree in 2011. And I've been working here in various capacities since then. I started off as the coordinator for student diversity initiatives for the College of Environment and Life Sciences. Later went on for talent development, academic advisor for 8.5 years back home. And over the last year and a half, I've been serving the MSSC, that is the Multicultural Student Service Center, as the assistant director. Since 2009, I've had the honor and privilege of working as a member of the ACN family. I want to shout out Michelle Fons for putting me on. Thank you very much. And that's why we're here today, to celebrate our Alumni Color Network, and to grow our expanding family. Our panel started off in 6 over there? 2006 in a small conference room. We later graduated into different places on campus, but right now we're maximizing out in this ballroom, and that's because of you all, our panelists, our students who are invested in themselves, our alumni who are coming back to give back, and we appreciate all of y'all. And I'm proud to say this is the first time in the history of this panel that we're live streaming the event, so our alumni who aren't here, or students who are not here, can see this magic happen. At this time, I want to acknowledge URI senior leaders who are joining us today. The president of the URI Foundation and Alumni Engagement, Nilo Rook. Yeah. Deans Brenton DeBuff from the Graduate School and Jen Riley from the College of Arts and Sciences, as well as Gary Ligori from the College of Health Sciences. My sis, Dr. Jackie Springer, who is the Assistant Dean of Students. Where you at, Jackie? Assistant Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion from the College of Engineering, Brother Chuck Watson. The Director of the Talent Development Program, Gerald Williams. And Vice President of Alumni Engagement, Michelle Nada. So again, soon you're going to hear from our esteemed alumni, but at this time, I want to look out to our audience and acknowledge our alumni who are here. Our alumni range a spectrum of people. We have those who used to be my former advisees. We have some who I came up with, who are my peers, my friends, and we have some who are the trailblazers who made it a point to make sure that we're here today and we're occupying this space at our university. So if y'all can please stand up and we can acknowledge y'all. All y'all. Alum. During my time here as an undergrad, I specifically sought out guidance and mentorship from people who look like me, and that's a lot of the reason why I'm still here at the University of Rhode Island, to make sure that I can serve in that same capacity. Some of those people I already mentioned, I'm from TD, so that's a given right there. Dr. Caroline Oliveira, who's watching us, we appreciate you. Dr. Peniel Joseph and Dr. Ray Ferguson out of Africana Studies, they were major mentors of mine while I was here. If you open your pamphlet, you'll see a person who's not here with us today. We lost our brother Earl about a month or so ago. Earl was very instrumental in the formation and the foundation of the Alumni Color Network. Through his leadership and through his experiences, we learned how to navigate as a family. We learned from those experiences how not to make the same mistakes. And even when we did, how to bounce back quicker because of people like Earl and people who were invested in us. So while Earl's not here with us right now, I want to make sure that we acknowledge him, his contributions, not only this university, but us in our personal lives, as a unit within the ACN, and all around amazing character, amazing guy who will forever live on, and I want to make sure that we're representing his legacy forever. So please join me in a moment of silence for Earl. Thank you. At this time, I was going to introduce our 12th president who couldn't come with us, be with us this evening, but he did, however, provide an amazing, some words of encouragement for you all, for us. So that is President Palange, if y'all don't mind.
Hello, everyone. I'm speaking to you today from the College of Pharmacy at the University of Rhode Island Kingston campus. I wish I could be there with all of you in person. I know this event has been postponed because of the pandemic, but I am certain that you will make up for the lost time with an accomplished group of panelists and opportunities for networking tonight. Since joining the university last summer, I have really enjoyed meeting students, staff, faculty, and alumni from across our campuses, and I can safely say that this vibrant and welcoming community is one of the university's strongest assets. Investing in this community, and in particularly in our students, is a top priority of mine. I believe that if we can provide the resources, services, and financial support that they need to succeed here, they will graduate ready to succeed and lead anywhere. Which is why I'm pleased to share that I am providing a $25,000 matching gift for the ACN Scholars Fund. I am certain that this fund can and will transform lives. I hope you agree and will join me as we work to support this future generation of innovators and big thinkers who will do great things for this university, our community, and beyond. Thank you for supporting one another. Thank you for your time. And thank you for your commitment to URI.
Thank you, President Palange. So as he mentioned, he's going to match our gift by $25,000. Right now, we would add a $10,000. That's how much we raised so far. So that's why we're counting on y'all, our village. So our alumni, everybody, those who are listening from home, no amount is too little. We're just trying to build this up, our ACN Scholarship Fund, and it's going to go towards, 100% is going to go towards current students of color who are experiencing any kind of financial difficulties. So being that person in the past, that's why I want to make sure I'm giving back for those of us who are alumni. Y'all been there, we've all been there. So please, if you have it in you, to please just anything, no amount is too little. And it's as simple as scanning the QR code on the back of your program. And we'll also be doing social media outreach, so please, once you see it, share it, spread it. Again, it takes a village to raise all of us. With that said, I want to now introduce my co-chair, our moderator, Sabrina Montero. But before I do, my sister, I've known her, the more I got you, since 1990. I was in second grade at Fox Point Elementary School, and she was in kindergarten. I remember the young lady with the big glasses and the dookie braids coming out the side of her head. And back then, she still had that same spirit she has right now. She's going to tell you what she wants. She's going to mean what she says. She's going to come correct. She's going to advocate. And that's why when it came time for me to look for another co-chair for this right here, this ACN family, and having her back on board, having moved back to Rhode Island, it was seamless. It was a seamless process, having known her all these years, having seen her work on this campus as an undergraduate. And having her back in Rhode Island has been a big blessing. She's been my backbone big time. And Sarah, I want to say I appreciate you, and I love to see your growth. And please welcome up, and thank you for serving as our moderator.
Hey, y'all. I like to get silly sometimes, so I like to start off with a little outcast, like, hey, y'all, hey, y'all. If you are here and you're in the building and you're just happy to be here this evening, can you please just go ahead and celebrate yourself and give yourself a round of applause, please? My name is Sarah Montero. That's the short version. Upon my inception, my parents found it appropriate to give me 5 names. I'm Sara Patricia Lopes de Pina Montero. I am who I am because I am loved. If you can't tell by the number of names I have, and don't call me anything outside of that, right? And I am a child of Rhode Island, a child of the South Side, TD Nation. I am a roadie, ram, all of it. And so thank you for being here this evening with us. In 2007, ACN was established to provide opportunities for interaction and collaboration amongst students, alumni, staff, and faculty of color. It is our hope that once you all graduate and become alums, that you will continue to be involved with our university in this amazing network. I also want to say thank you to my co-chair, Bobby. I think he explained to you this is more than just business, this is personal for us. And Bobby just spearheads a lot of what we do. Career Panel is his baby. This was his vision. And not his vision in the sense of him doing what he wants, but he just saw something that would allow us to come together and be community. So he's gonna love this part. If y'all could all just face Bobby and give him a round of applause. And I promise y'all, if you guys just keep the energy up, we are gonna feed y'all, all right? Because we're gonna go on with a couple more thank yous. So please, if you are part of these organizations, if as I'm calling you out and saying thank you, please raise the roof, stand up, do something to celebrate yourself and be acknowledged, okay? A lot of people complain that they're not validated, not seen, not celebrated enough. We're here today, we're gonna see everybody, okay? So let's give it up for the Multicultural Student Service Center. Bobby wears many hats. He's also an assistant director there. And we collaborate to really create community and be supporting all of our students. So let's give it up for them again, please. Do we have Bond Brothers in the house? Can y'all stand up? Yeah. If y'all could all just like sincerely feel it from me, I send you energy, I send you peace, I send you light. There's nothing that we need and we can't call Bond and they show up. Like, it's so awesome to have an army, and y'all are an army, y'all. So thank you for being here tonight. Give it up for Bond. Any NSBE members, present, past members? Stand up for NSBE, go ahead. Let's go ahead and give it up for NSBE, one of the most pivotal organizations brought to this campus. Thank you all. This might be personal, y'all. CVSA. Levanta. I just want to say Viva Cabo Verde. Yes, we get to be here because we had some relentless people cross that ocean and come this way, right? And allow us to be here today. Shout out CVSA. Thank you for all that you do. Pink. I heard it's election night. I heard after the, you guys don't have an after party. Y'all getting to work after this, right? Y'all pace yourself. Mitch, where you at? Mitch, stand up, you're tall enough. If you guys could please give it up for Mitch Asante. He is our intern from Diverse Alumni Initiatives. Mitch he moves tables, he sends correspondence, he is able, he is capable, and always willing to support us, so thank you for being here. The Office of Community, go ahead, give it up for Mitch, y'all. I don't want to rob him. Mitch, you must have a good heart. Your classmates are really clapping it up for you like that. That's love in abundance. The Office of Community, Equity, and Diversity. We want to thank them, the Division of Student Affairs and the Diversity Grant, and the URI Foundation and Alumni Engagement. I won't do personal shout outs there because we're going to be here all evening if I do that. So also many thanks to all the outstanding campus partners we hope you were able to visit earlier this evening, the Center for Career and Experiential Education and Graduate School and Black Student Union. And so our panelists are going to go ahead and share their experience as scholars and professionals Yo, we really go out to bid. We try to bring the best people in the industry. We're here to prove that that whole myth that there's not enough representation, that it's all lies. Like, we find the cream of the crop, and if you look around the room, right, we haven't just found it once, we haven't found it twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. We keep finding them because they exist. And they're created right here on this campus. And so we're gonna go ahead and have the panel go ahead and introduce themselves. So, Ben, you're gonna kick off the show? And I asked my panelists earlier, I was like, help these students understand how you're similar, right? And similarity can come in different ways. Sometimes it's sharing a culture, sometimes it's being part of the same organization, sometimes it's like, oh, that was my major. So please, leave nothing to the imagination. Tell us all about you. Go, in 3 minutes.
Let's push this button right here.
He just want to touch buttons, Joe.
No, I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Champong. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a school nurse. I work in substance abuse and alcohol and drug detox. It's tough work, but I came to the University of Rhode Island in 2008. I'm joined here by my big sister at the end of the panel over there, Mavis Nemo. As the University of Rhode Island enveloped us, so my family has enveloped the panel. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I was sitting in your seats back then, because I never attended one of these, but I wish I did, in hindsight. Wherever you are in your journey right now, just keep pushing, keep fighting. You're gonna get there, because we all got there, and I'm sure there were times we didn't think that we were gonna. I look out in the audience and I see a lot of faces I don't know, some faces I do know. What up, Sandy? I was her RA once upon a time. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here with friends, people I went to high school with, people I was in college with, people who babysat me when I was a kid, and yeah, I'm happy to be here with all of you, and I hope we have a good night. So.
And Ben, please tell us your major and what industry do you currently work in?
My major was nursing. I came in undecided. I had 2 parents who worked in healthcare and not so gently nudged me in that direction. I left on-campus life in 2011. I took a job at the Rhode Island Department of Health. I worked in immunizations and vaccines, because when those student loans come, they come, and you gotta pay them. So I took a job. Yeah, and I work in nursing now. It's been a wild 2 years, but we're still here, and yeah.
So can we go ahead? Sometimes we like to celebrate people on TV, but we have somebody right here that was on the front line for us during these 2 years of pandemic. So Ben, just take your flowers. Stop giving them back. So y'all give it up for him, please. And then we're gonna kick it right over to John.
So I was not on the front line. I was working from home, luckily. But my name is John Britto. I am from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, Shea Raider, Cape Verdean, and I graduated from Shea in 2006 and started at the University of Rhode Island. Initially, I was interested in engineering, but during the campus orientation, the orientation person was like, "You sure you want to do that?" So I switched to poli-sci, and after a year, I switched back into engineering. So I am currently a civil and environmental engineering. I work for CDM Smith. I design water and wastewater pipelines. On my experience on campus, I was involved in the National Society of Black Engineers. I was also an RA in Butterfield and this other dorm that for some reason I can't remember, across the street from Hope. Yeah, one of those buildings. And let's see, yeah, so after URI, I went to get my master's at the University of Missouri. With the help of Chuck, he put me in contact with some folks out there, and I got my master's in engineering there. Lived in St. Louis for a little, then I lived in Memphis, in Philly, and moved back to Rhode Island, moved back to Pawtucket. That's where I currently live, and looking forward to the panel and sharing my experiences as much as I can.
Thank you, brother. Alicia.
Hello, My name is Alicia Capellan. I graduated in 2008 with Sarah. Yeah, that was fun. So, my degree is in Human Development and Family Studies. Is it called something else now? I think it is. It's still the same? Okay, someone told me something different. HDF. So HDF, I do not currently do something with my degree right now, but I have like a backbone of what I use from it. So after graduation, I worked at a daycare because the economy crashed. There was no work. I was like, okay, let's go back to taking care of kids. And then I found the opportunity to work at Tides Family Services. I worked there for 2 years for Preserving Families Network. After that, I had a extreme weight loss journey, and here, when I was 19 years old, I discovered that I had metabolic syndrome. I was diabetic, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So I was taking medication for my diabetes, had to turn my life around. Other people wanted to learn how can I do that too? Can I work out with you? So I decided, how about this? I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna help people, I'm going to get certified, and then work out again, try to find a job. So I was at Bally's. I was trying to take a few classes for my master's. I wanted to go into family marriage counseling, so I took a few classes ahead of time, and it just took off my personal training career. And since 2010, I have not asked for a job. People keep opening doors for me. So I was like, all right. Because that has happened, and I don't know how to say no to people, I have received an award from the State House for the Dominican Independence Award ceremony in 2016, I believe, for the most outstanding Dominican sport. For all the fundraisers I do with my athleticism and bringing the community together, also with Hispanics and all communities together to better our health. Then became a strongman competitor, a ballroom competitive dancer. Why not?
All of the above.
Because I don't say no.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And please, Sabrina, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Sabrina Chaudhry, and I am a first-generation American. I am a student of talent development, and I am a Rhode Island resident, lifelong Rhode Islander. As an undergrad, I majored in communication studies with a focus in pink women because I feel like I put all of my energy and effort into my student organization in understanding how to work with Student Senate, how to rent out rooms, how to get permission for lots of things, how to book talent, how to rent out nightclubs, and it all came very full circle for me. When I graduated URI, I co-founded an organization called Stay Silent PVD with a bond brother, Jason Almeida, and we have an events and marketing company. We've been running since 2012. And in 2020, we purchased our first nightclub and bar, which was Tantric Nightclub and is now Crib at 1070 North Main Street in Providence. So for me, undergraduate changed my life. The people that I met here as peers and students, the faculty and staff that I met here really lifted me up, showed me that I can do many things. I used my undergraduate experience to make a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes paid off in helping me build confidence. And now I'm here, so I'm really grateful to be sharing the stage with y'all, and I'm excited to share my story more.
Nice. Thank you. Patricia.
My namesake. My name is Patricia Croft. I graduated from here in 2006. I had my degree in biology. I was in D3, dancing.
Dreams of dance through diversity. I was her dance.
Yes. It's been that long, and I even forgot what organization I was with. But right after college, I went straight to medical school. After medical school, I left the island, and I went to study for my boards. In the interim of studying for my boards, I decided to get my master's in healthcare management. And after that, I didn't become a doctor. I ended up getting sick, got better. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I guess I can say I'm a breast cancer survivor. So, man plans and God laughs, right? Because I wanted to be a doctor, but I guess that's not the route I ended up taking. So I ended up getting a second degree, and right now I'm a medical laboratory scientist. I work in a laboratory at Fatima Hospital, so during COVID, we were very busy. I'm a generalist, so I work in blood bank, coag, hematology, chemistry. So you don't really see me, but you do see me. So when you go to the doctor and you give any sample of blood, urine, I'm probably the one testing that, depending on the department that I'm at. So I'm kind of like more behind the scenes, but I'm still in the healthcare field. I'm married. Like I said, I went to medical school, but I did not get that degree, but I did get a husband out of that. So that's me in a nutshell. Well, there's more to me, but we can talk during dinner.
Awesome, thank you. Patricia's husband, we said we're gonna do this, right? Put your hand in the air. I love it. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for being a support. Robbie.
Hello, everyone. My name's Robbie Looney, and I am incredibly uncomfortable talking about myself. So this is going to be interesting. So, class of 2004, I'm a business major with a focus on management information systems. Originally from the Dominican Republic by way, and made it to URI by way of South Providence. I left Rhode Island in 2002 and moved to DC. After spending 20 years in DC, I thought it was kind of cold, so I moved to Florida. I arrived here last night right around 1 a.m. And then walked out of the airport and I said, holy cow, is it cold here. I run a data science firm that I co-founded with a partner called Aerotech. We founded it in 2012. And essentially, we run analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning for a number of different federal agencies. So excited to be here today. Every time I walk onto this campus, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I made it through this place. But I look forward to sharing my story with you tonight. Thank you.
Now, Robbie, you're gonna do this for the second time. I want y'all to know this man is cool, calm, and collected. He said the same thing earlier, like, I don't do well talking about myself, and then at the end was like, you know I'm a board member for URI, right? So you're gonna drop that line on them now?
Yeah, I'm on the board of trustees for the university as well, so. Again.
He just didn't want to drop the mic on y'all. Miss Mavis, we saved the best for last. Go ahead.
Indeed. Is this thing on? Good evening, everybody. So I'm the OG on the panel, O2. So it's been a while since I was here. And it's a trip coming back and seeing everybody. I was a political science major. I was a theater minor. So I thought I was going to be a lawyer who moonlighted on Broadway, and that didn't work out. And then I ended up doing the McNair program. So if y'all haven't heard about it, and you're interested in graduate school, just the experience alone is really worthwhile. You do some pre-doctoral work. So I did that, and as a result of that work and a dissertation that I wrote, I ended up getting a full ride to Penn State. So then I got my master's. Instead of going to law school, I put that on the back burner. And then I hit the workforce. So I started off in the nonprofit world and then kept moving. I became a public official. So I was in Pennsylvania, and then I became the first Black woman secretary for the Pennsylvania Board of Pardons. And so my work was really around commutations, individuals who were incarcerated who were looking for a second chance, reprieves, and all of that good stuff. And then I decided to start my own firm. So I was doing some DEI consulting work and some other things. And then I came back to Rhode Island about 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago. So currently I'm the executive director for the Center for Health and Justice Transformation. We are a social justice nonprofit. We are affiliated with Brown University, where I'm also an associate professor of health practice. And our work really centers around health equity for the justice-involved population. And we also have a healthy research portfolio, and we run a clinic a transitions clinic for people who are returning home with comorbidities. And then we also pioneered Rhode Island's first reentry service program. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, y'all, so we have some real diverse representation up here. I was taking some notes. We got first generation. If anybody identifies as first generation, can you clap it up? Yes. I also heard a lot of Rhode Island natives. If you're a Rhode Island native, go ahead and clap it up for yourself. Rhode Island born, we're Rhode Island bred, and when we die, study abroad, y'all, study abroad. That song was good enough to get me to the Virgin Islands, y'all. Study abroad, study abroad. And so we're gonna do a little quick exercise real quick about timing. So now I'm gonna put them on the hot seat, right? I gave them 3 minutes for introduction. I'm only giving them 2 minutes to answer these questions. So are y'all ready? All right. Are y'all gonna volunteer yourselves, or are y'all gonna have fun? I've been in education for 14 years. I love volunteering people. It's called voluntold. So you guys can let me know how we do this, all right? Alicia's giving me eyes, y'all. She emailed me in advance. She knows what she wants to answer. I got you. I got you. Here we go. That's the best thing about this. They can't say no. So you guys think about the best questions as well, too. I'm going to encourage you, if you're sitting out in the audience, grab yourself a pen, take down some notes. Some people might drop gems. Some people are going to say some things tonight that might be remembered forever. All those Malcolm X quotes and all of that we got, they happen at these kind of events, right? And so get ready and hear up. And if you don't hear something that you really need to hear today, that should be your question. All right? This is also a practice for all students. When you go into an interview, don't ever leave there without asking questions, right? And so let's do this. And I'm going to switch up these little questions a little bit. My panel doesn't even know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to jump ship a little bit because I heard something, which was, I heard it in John and I heard it in Patricia and a couple of people's stories, that you had to leave home. Why did you leave Rhode Island? What did you find? And what have you learned coming back? Mavis, go ahead, take that one.
Well, I initially left Rhode Island for graduate school, but even if I wasn't going to graduate school, I was going to leave Rhode Island because I wanted to explore the world. You know, smallest state, great state, but, you know, had dreams of kind of being Nemo, like the fish, like my name, and, you know, going out into the big sea and swimming and finding myself. But guess what? Like a lot of folks, guess where I'm back?
Like a boomerang, right?
Like a boomerang, yes. It took about 15 years, but I eventually came back. And it's great to come back because this is my roots. It's exciting to be here. I was busy when I was an undergrad. I was on the Robert Rainfield selection committee. I was an RA. I was on the president's inaugural commission on the status of women. I worked at the Women's Center. I was in the African Awareness Association. Like, I was out here. And I would have loved if we had something like ACN back then. And we were much smaller back then. We probably had about 5 to 7%, you know, BIPOC student population. And we were just learning then to organize and to find a voice and to be able to go to Student Senate and do all of those sorts of things. And so it's so exciting to come back and see what y'all are doing and see all of these beautiful faces. So very exciting, it's progress, and we're real, like as an OG for real, you know, it's been like 20 years since I graduated. I know I don't look like it. I'm just so thrilled.
Guys, celebrating yourself is real. Don't wait on other people's compliments. She just did affirmation right in front of us, y'all.
That's my brother. So it's just very exciting. But yeah, I left because, you know, I needed to leave.
Yep.
But like a lot of things, and my brother and I were Ghanaian descent. Shout out.
Yeah.
West side, right?
Yes.
Sorry, Nigeria.
They have a thing in our culture, and a lot of people pronounce it Sankofa, but it's Sankofa, which it really means like you go and then you come back and then you bring it. So, you know, I think we're like the embodiment
Sankofa, you know, of
Did
going
y'all hear
after
that? We are the embodiment of Sankofa. If somebody's not writing down right now, you're missing out, right? Kofa. We do spell check here too, y'all. We got you. Britto, can you please tell me what was, how many of y'all in this room, Rhode Island natives, feel like Moana? Right? Moana's like, how's everybody happy here? Like, there has to be more. Don't be afraid of exploring. So, Britto, what did, y'all remember I said that, the Moana effect.
So,
Britto, what was the greatest lesson of the road?
greatest lesson of the road. I don't know if there's like, I guess, yeah, sometimes Rhode Island is the smallest state, so sometimes we don't understand how growing up in a community that's as diverse as Rhode Island is not the norm in other places, in regards to just, Dominicans, Cape Verdeans, Africans. It's not like that in other places. A lot of places are just, white, black, and where I lived, it was just like Mexican. So it was just the greatest lesson I learned from moving away was just appreciate diversity, appreciate the diversity that you have here in Rhode Island, because it's not that way in a lot of other places. But one thing that was encouraging when I did move away was seeing a lot of minorities in positions of power. When I was in Memphis, the mayor was a black man. A lot of the people and business owners I knew were black, so it was nice to see that. And it's nice seeing that now in Rhode Island. You're seeing more and more of black business owners, so that's kind of a takeaway.
And thank you for that. Thank you. Everybody in this room, just by show of hands, how many students are clear about their next step after graduation? Just raise your hand if you have some idea. How many people are thinking about going straight into the workforce? How many people are considering continuing their education? How many people are considering entrepreneurship? Thank you. Thank you for that. And so I'm going to ask you guys to just identify, what did you do right after you graduated? What was your track? Did you go workforce? Did you continue education? Or did you embark on entrepreneurship?
I went into the workforce while I was still in school, because again, those student loans, they don't play. And then when I graduated with my degree, I went into the field that I graduated with. I'm gonna just go off the question it says here. So one of the questions was discuss the challenges you faced in the transition from college to the workforce. I think my biggest one was we all mature at different rates, right? Like some of us graduate in 4 years, some of us graduate in 5 years, some of us graduate in 6 years. So I'd worked in offices, I'd worked at the Department of Health, so I knew the beats of, how to get around and how to, sort of shrink yourself in some settings and sort of pick yourself up in some other settings. So for me, it was just like going to, I was in the job that I was gonna be in for the foreseeable future, so I had to make sure I was making the right first impressions, that I was setting myself up for the rest of my professional life, and that's not the easiest thing to do at 25, you know what I mean? I was getting drunk on the weekends, let's be honest, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So it's you gotta grow up, you know what I mean? That's the long and the short of it, and we don't all, growing up's tough, you know what I mean? Going to college, we're all experiencing different things, and there's no blueprint, you know what I mean? I had examples of what to do, hello Mavis, but her at 22 and me at 22 were completely different things, you know what I mean? So I think, I just think the tough thing is again, it's just growing up, and that's, college is a time of transition, time to you come in as one thing and you leave as another thing, and so,
Yeah.
I could say more, but
And thank you for that. I think that's important to talk about at Lens, is just emotional maturity. We have a physical age, but we have an emotional age, right? And yes, there's a system that's assigned 4 years should grow you up. But if you're not ready after those 4 years, then what do you need to do to get grown, right? And that looks different for each one of us. You're hearing that it looks different for siblings, right? And so that might look different for each one of us, and you want to start thinking about that. Each one of us know where we're at, and know yourself intimately to know, are you ready for the next step, and what is the next step? So, Britto, what did you do right after undergrad?
So going on with Ben, I'm gonna answer number 2 here. So
Don't answer number. They're so defiant, y'all. Do you see this? I'm telling them that I'm ignoring that paper, and he's like, well, I studied this paper, so.
goes with what I did after.
Britta, what did you do after
so
college?
after
Did you go to workforce, or did
So
you?
I went straight into my master's. So at the time, I was interested in getting my PhD. So I went straight to get my master's at the University of Missouri. And while I was there, luckily I had a professor who was African American. That was part of the reason that I decided to go there, as well as getting a free ride. I guess the question here says, what influenced your decision to continue straight to graduate school?
He wants to do hooked on
Straight into
phonics,
the
y'all.
workforce. So a lot of people who are interested in getting a master's or a PhD, I think if you're just looking for a master's, I would suggest not do what I did and actually work and get your company to pay for your master's, because you're incurring a debt potentially by going to get a master's, and then you're also incurring loss of income by not working those 2 years. And in the workforce, experience trumps a lot of things. So I think that's the best approach if you're just interested in your master's. If you are interested in your PhD, I think it's you do have to do a little bit more research, find professors that you're interested in at different schools, make connections, reach out. It does take a lot more work going the PhD route. So.
Yeah.
Did I
And
answer
thank
your
you for
question?
that. No, that's awesome. You hit on something, right? Which is like just that intentionality of knowing how to transition, what weighs in that decision. And you brought up an excellent point. I ran through my master's program because that's just how I was programmed, was like work fast, right? But I wish I didn't. I almost paid as much for my master's as I did my 5 years of undergrad. And it took a professor advocating for me to get a graduate assistantship, right? So that's when you kind of like work study, y'all, right? You put in the work and then they take care of your classes. But you hit on a great point, which is just stay mindful of that financial piece even when furthering your education. So thank you for that. And Alicia, I'm gonna ask you a question off the paper. He called me a rebel, y'all. What motivated you to be involved in student organizations when you were here? Volunteer work or internships, and how did that lend itself to where you're at now?
I feel I do the same thing still. So I think it was the last year for NAACP here. It was my freshman year, and I was part of that. Got to do a lot of traveling, got to meet a lot of people. Getting that experience, it was just great coming off the bat. So I did that, and there was volunteer work for the Multicultural Center when there was high school students to come in. So I wanted to make a difference and be like, I was part of TD, so I was just like, oh, maybe if we can influence them, that they do have an option, that they do have a chance to prove themselves, which that's my biggest takeaway, was just like, I got to prove myself that one summer that I can do it, because there was a lot of people that didn't believe that I could do it. So that's why I did a lot of volunteering. I still do a lot of volunteering for organizations now, for cycling, when putting things together, and giving people hope for training when I do my personal training, my life coaching. I'm a fitness nutrition specialist as well, so I put into play all those things that I've learned here on campus, making people believe in themselves, that they can go further and evolving. I think that's one of my definitions I live by, is evolving. Those doors open, take the chance, and then just keep going from there. I mean, like, you don't want to have regrets. So I think that's what I took away from doing organizations, supporting all of the other organizations and be like, I will be there. There's a party. I will be there for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got from it.
We graduated around the same class, and there was a lot of solidarity, right? You're gonna have to find solidarity in whatever you do, find a community for whatever you do. So, Sabrina, I'd like to go off the paper with you and ask you this. Being an entrepreneur is a leap, it's a risk, right? And so what was part of your support package? What were the secret ingredients? Who were the people that assisted you?
Amazing question. I cannot in words say how many people have been a part of helping me get to the place where I am right now. So many. I think one, coming from a really large family, when I got onto campus, I immediately was lost without people. And so talent development, first of all, was the first family I had on campus. Doing the summer program, I felt like, okay, I'm gonna make it through this, it's gonna make sense. Obviously, like many TD students, got back onto campus in September and was like, okay, we need to redirect, I'm gonna be at task every day. And found that through TD, I met Kevin Martins, who was my counselor in TD. Through him, met Michelle Rosa, who was a founder of Pink Women, and immediately joined Pink on campus. Well, actually tried to start my own Pink Women before that, but recognized we need to join hands instead of competing. So early on, joined Pink, and I think through all of the people that I met on campus, I recognized that if I could learn to trust myself through keeping promises to myself, small promises, by showing up for myself every day in small ways, that some of the bigger risks I've taken in my life feel a lot less scary. So although entrepreneurship is a large leap, I feel like I've learned to trust myself through very small things. And it could be as simple as like, if I tell myself I'm going to get out of this bed at 7 a.m., and I get out at 7 a.m., I am building that core trust within myself. And so those are the things that I think really have empowered me as an individual, but it came from knowing that I had, again, unlimited amounts of people, my family, my mother and father, super hard workers, first generation Americans, like just watching my mom cap out when she retired, she was making $14 an hour, and that was life-changing for her. And she paid all of our medical bills. She kept a 401k at that. And when I look at that, I remember like, one, that I'm so blessed, and that I have to continue to pour into myself, to take those risks, calculated risks, to trust myself. And that's, yeah, it wouldn't have happened without all the people. And everybody, I'm not gonna say their names right now, but there are so many in this room as well. So I'm just
Thank
very
you.
blessed, very lucky, very blessed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you speaking about your. God, give it up. It takes a village, y'all. It really does. I'm African. I really understand that on a whole nother level. But I think you talked about it. Intrinsic motivation, right? That's what distinguishes. A passive mind is the most dangerous thing to have, is what Denzel Washington said, right? And it's exactly that. Who is telling you to get out of bed? Who is telling you to be your greatest? Who is telling you? Create that voice and let it be you informing yourself. So thank you for that. That was impactful. Patricia, I'm gonna go a little deeper with you and just ask you, how did your personal journey inform the career that you went in? And then later you shared with us your battle with cancer and your triumph against it. And how does that motivate you to continue the work you do?
I would say that the biggest thing for me was the detour that my life took, because everybody who knew me knew that I wanted to be a doctor. So when I was on the track to becoming that doctor, and I had my struggles because I took my boards and I also didn't pass it. So it kind of put me in a little depressive state. But trying to get back on track, going to get my master's, keeping myself busy, getting my master's and finally graduating. And also in that, I graduated with my master's in 2014 May, and then in October, I had a mastectomy. So it was kind of like, whoa, what's happening? So I think going from wanting to be a doctor to seeing too many doctors and being a patient, it kind of like okay, what do I really want to do with my life? Because you kind of like, I don't want to say face death, but that's kind of like what it is. But I said to myself, you know, maybe this is not my time yet, or I'm just trusting in God to take over. It's not something that's easy to do, but that's what I had to find myself doing. But also, too, what I'm doing now, I actually love doing. Like, I'm a medical laboratory scientist now, and then going into the school for that, it made me realize that, wow, when I was in undergrad, I majored in biology. Who majors in biology by a show of hands? It's not really the best major, okay? So unless you're going to be a biologist, you should not major in biology. And if I could go back, I would not major in biology. Because, let me tell you why. I went through medical school, ready to take my boards, and then like I said, I got sick and I became whatever I'm doing now. I knew more with the major in medical laboratory scientist. I think that will prepare you more for medical school than biology. But needless to say, what was the question you wanted me to answer?
Y'all heard it here
I'm sorry, I
first.
feel a certain way
She
about
built
that.
you up just to break you down, y'all. Watch out. But
So,
I hear you loud and clear about, we were talking about health, right? How did your personal journey inform how you landed in your career, in your...
yeah, so I ended up doing that because I was also working in a laboratory as a laboratory assistant, so I did that for a little bit, and then I would be the one to actually give the specimens to the people that run the test, which is who I am now. So I'm always the type of person that I never like to be stagnant. I always want to be like, okay, what's next? What's next? I get bored really quickly. So I ended up finding out how to become that, and then I did. So
Awesome. And do you guys hear that? She loved and she lost and she found a new love,
Yeah.
right? That's the career path. Don't ever get afraid or be too angry about restarting or being pushed in a different direction than that of which you envisioned for yourself. So we're making our way to the end. Now, this one I'm going to kick to you, and I think it's super appropriate given that you're a board member. What are some of the changes you would like to see at URI that would benefit people of color and underrepresented populations here in our campus?
Wow, that's a good question. Wow, pressure's on. As I mentioned earlier, I own a data science firm, high tech, and in STEM programs, there's a significant, incredible amount of underrepresentation of women and minorities. For a long time, and this is an interesting problem, right? I felt like when we get to campus, when you arrive at URI as a freshman, there's a system that really tries to push us towards programs that aren't associated with STEM, because you could navigate through academia easier, as opposed to really encouraging folks from underrepresented communities towards STEM programs that, candidly lead to you being able to pay off your student debt in an accelerated manner. But also, there's a lot of passion in technology and using technology for good. So, long-winded way of saying that some of the changes I'd like to see is more emphasis on the diversity of where we channel our students from a program perspective. Again, I'm passionate about technology, so my views are somewhat biased in that regard. But I see the way the world is changing around us, how connected we are as a society. And I've traveled the world and I see how technology is just part of, different cultures' DNA. Whether you're going to a third world country or a first world country outside of the US, math and science is kind of the pillar of a society. I have friends from Cuba, and their literacy rate, despite their issues, is 100%, right? And not just for social sciences, but for medicine, for technology, for math and science. And you know, maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but I'd like to see the same thing occur here at URI. So anytime I have an opportunity to try to make a change in that regard, you're always going to see me involved in that way. I was joking with a friend of mine recently. We were on vacation in the Dominican Republic, and he's like, "Hey, what's the next thing you want to do in life?" And I said, "Well, I want to perfect the art of doing absolutely nothing, sitting on a beach, right? But also being a productive member of society, and assessing the things that are going to make huge positive impacts on my people." And I think literacy in technology, literacy in math, literacy in science is definitely underrepresented in underserved communities, and I'd like to see that change.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm passionate about that because when we were growing up, we were taught that the only road to equity was like through the nonprofit world. And there's so many ways to reach equity. Technology is at the forefront of bringing equity to our communities. STEM is at the forefront of bringing equity to our community. So I thank you for that perspective. And Mavis, you ready to wrap this up? All right. Mavis, talk to the students and just let them know what happens when you get to that crossroads. What happens when doubt starts settling in? What are some strategies you use? What's part of your wellness package, and what really keeps you going?
Thank you for that. That's a big question. I started really young, so I got out of grad school at I just turned 24, and right away I had gotten a management job. So I was managing people who were 2 times my age, who were like, "Who are you?" There's a thing people call now called imposter syndrome. I don't really subscribe to that because nothing is imposter to me, but the idea that like you don't fit or you don't belong. And I was a black woman, they were all white women, and I figured it out. I figured out the language and how to navigate culture and norms and expectations, and also to command respect at a very young age. And I think part of that that you always have to have is belief in yourself. So no, I didn't have full-on experience doing that. What I did have was a certain skill set. You know, I was organized, I was disciplined. If I didn't know something, I knew the pathway to try to find the answer. So I really worked those skill sets to get me to the next level. And then, of course, just like everybody else, I was hungry, came from an immigrant family, you know. I told myself, you're gonna be making 6 figures by the time you're 30 years old. I was like 23, 24, I was like, let's do this. And it became less about the money and more about like how I could challenge myself more and more. But I've hit many, many crossroads. And this is, you know, we've been saying really great things, but I'll tell you, as a black woman, as a young black woman, you know, I was a public official at 27 years old, the youngest at the time in the county that I was working in. I faced a lot of work traumas, for real, a lot of scars. Whether you think that you're being put in that position, there are sometimes alternative motives for why you're there. People are trading off of your physical image. They are interested in stealing your intellectual property. They are taking credit for your work, and they are then sidelining you when it's all said and done. You come into spaces, and listen, I've always been the only black person in a lot of things. I'd come into you know, meetings and sit around a table full of white men who were 2 times my age, and it was like we were speaking different languages. I wasn't invited, you know, to drinks after work. I didn't get invitations to private parties. And, you know, all of that can be really demeaning and defeating because you feel other. And so what I chose to do was to focus on the work, you know, because my respite is not in that community necessary. It's not in those things. My respite is in doing well and being an example for myself, my family, and my community. and where we align and we connect, then yes, let's do it. Where we don't, I'm not beating down doors to prove myself to anybody. I'm beating down doors to prove myself to myself.
Yes.
And that is the most important thing. And as you get older, it's difficult, but as you get older, you care less and less about what other people think about you.
Amen.
Right?
Yes.
No, I mean, it's a process. It's a process because we all got influences. We all want to fit in.
Yeah.
You know, we all want people to be like, good job. But there are times as professionals and professionals of color where you're not going to get that. And like, we are hopeful, but please believe that these are the structures in which we work and live. You know, structural racism is a real thing, and it plays out every day in our lives, and most importantly, in places that we choose to work, which is why I'm a fan of creating your own at the end of the day. So just keep focusing on the work, focusing on why you're choosing to do it, focus on bettering yourself. Every place I went, you know, if there was a chance to do some professional development, I did it and I doubled down on my skills, you know, and then I pieced out, you know, and I went to go make more money somewhere else. You know, when I got selected, I was the first Black woman elected to this position, a governor-appointed position, where I was really in charge of the process of people being released from prison. We had individuals who were sentenced to life who were never coming home. You know, and I was all of 30 years old in that position, having to figure out, you know, the process and what to do. No imposter here. What I did was I dived deep into who I am, what I know, what my values are, and what I don't know, how to connect with people who do have answers and who do have the ability to level up. But it's all in you. The creativity, the intelligence, the passion, it's all there. And you might start something and get defeated because it's not working out. It just means it's not for you. And so you find the other thing that's for you. So just keep exploring, keep challenging yourself. Growth comes only when you keep moving. That's the only time you're gonna grow. Every time you fail or you think you failed is where there's an opportunity for you to really level up. You know, so that I think would be, you know, my words of encouragement to folks. I mean, you can do and be anything. You really, I mean, you can do and be anything you want. Claim it, live in that spirit, walk in that spirit, walk in that essence, and surround yourself with some good people too, that helps.
Yes. Thank you so much. Give it a round of applause. We're going to close out the panel, and I'm going to ask each member, we're going to do affirmations real quick. How many of y'all do affirmations in your personal life? Keep it as part of your schedule, right? I remember, I want to shout out Domingo Morel, who was my counselor through TD, and Domingo told me every time I get a letter of recommendation to make sure I keep it. He was like, people are not always going to make the time to say nice things to you, and be sure to say them to yourself. And so we're going to go through, I'll say I am, and you'll just give me your affirmation word, Ben. And if your word is Ben don't like this exercise, y'all. Mavis, let's start off at your end.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll say I am, and you just give us one word. I am.
Everything.
I don't think they heard you. I am.
Everything.
I am.
A pioneer.
I am.
I'm strong.
Yes, you are, sis. I am.
Divinely guided.
Hey. I am.
I am me.
Yes, you are. I am.
Resilient.
I am.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
And that's okay. We're here to love you through the process. Y'all go ahead and give it up. Please, come on, stand up and give them a round of applause. Yes. So I promise y'all, I have so much respect for the fact that you guys had a long day. Thank you for hanging in tight. Food is coming. I feel like Paul Revere, like, the British are coming, right? No, food is coming, y'all. We just got to get through the formalities of this, and then we're going to get to the food. So if you're ready to eat, let me just see a show of hand, please. If you heard we had good food, let me see a show of hand. I know that's why y'all came. All right, let's do this. So up next, I'm going to invite Mitch up to the stage, please. And Mitch Asante has been working with us in the office. Like I told you, there's nothing that Mitch doesn't touch. He's going to be one of our future members. We know that. And he is also working with us on our fundraising. We cannot thank Mitch enough for everything that he does. So y'all, please, he's a current student here, super ambitious, but superhuman as well, too. Y'all go ahead and give Mitch a round of applause.
Thank you, Sarah. Tonight, our alumni panelists demonstrated the positive impact of our Alumni of Color Network, highlighting how we inspire, learn, and grow with one another. As a future alumnus, I appreciate connecting with alumni who throughout my college career have served as mentors in both personal and professional resources. I encourage you to become involved with our Alumni of Color Network now, and to stay involved with URI and ACN after graduation. I know I will. If you would like a chance to win some awesome roadie swag, please fill out the raffle tickets now. I believe it's on your tables. If you have already not done so, raise your hand if you need a ticket, and write your first and last name on it. A volunteer will come around to assist and collect your tickets soon. Finally, before we eat, I would like to thank our incredible moderator, Sarah. Can we please have a round of applause? Please accept this gift as a token of our appreciation for your hard work and dedication to the Alumni of Color Network. Additionally, we would also like to thank our alumni panelists for taking the time out of their busy schedules to be part of such an engaging and important event, and we'll have the student volunteers present gifts now to the panelists. All right, we truly appreciate your commitment to and support of the Alumni of Color Network, and we thank you. Can we have one more round of applause for our alumni? I would now like to call up Amy.
Thank you all. We do have a few minutes to answer questions. My colleague is on the floor with a microphone, and I have another one. So if you have any questions for the panelists, just raise your hand. We'll bring you a mic, and then right after that, we will have our meal and networking time. So thank you all so much.
All right, we're good?
Yep, go this way.
You guys are good.
Hello, good evening. I have a question for Ben. I was curious to ask a very serious question to see if you'd be willing to share a little of what the challenges have been of working in healthcare over the last 2 years.
Okay. Could have gave me an easy one, but well, we can. I'll say for the last 2 years, I think it's just, it's the unknown, right? It's going into work one day and like not knowing if you're gonna come home with something like that can spread. Like my mother, both my parents are senior citizens, you know, and I was going to work without a mask at first because we didn't know. And then I was going to work with protective gear, right? And then that protective gear, as the information changed, so does the science, so does the precautions, but like you don't know, right? And it's like it's one of the few times where you're like, oh, I've picked nursing, a safe career, that's I'm always gonna have a job, and then it's like, or you might die, and like that's not what I signed up for, you know what I mean? But like, if not me, then who? Right? So we all get called upon at some point, and that was my time. And I'm not like I wasn't working in like super like advanced med surge floors with like ventilators and stuff like that. Like I'm working with drug addicts and like little kids, so I'm not like in the most like super high risk areas, but at the same time, like it's an airborne disease. It's extremely communicable. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know exactly how to protect not your patients, but you don't know how to protect yourself. So, but I was lucky. I was blessed. I got COVID once, and I was fine. So I didn't spread it to anyone that I know of. And yeah, it was a tough time, but it wasn't just tough for me. It's tough for everybody in here. I'm sure you guys took virtual classes. You guys weren't seeing your friends and family. Like it was a really, and we're not out the woods yet, by the way. Like just, I know we're all here and we're enjoying ourselves, but like all it takes is one mutation and like life goes back to a place that we don't want it to be. So I would just encourage everyone to be safe and count our blessings that we're able to do stuff like this right now. But yeah, it wasn't the most fun 2 years for any of us. But I got paid, so don't don't get it twisted. I made that six figures Mavis was talking about, so I can't complain. But yeah, it was a tough time. So, but thank you for the question. And yeah, it's we're doing it. So.
Hello? All right, cool. All right. I'm sorry. My name is Jordan Severino. I'm a computer science major. I'm a junior. This is more for anybody who happened to be an entrepreneur. So I believe it was Alicia. What was your name? Sabrina. Sorry. All right. Well, I apologize, but I kind of wanted to dive a little bit more into like the whole entrepreneurship. Like, it is a very scary route to take. Like, you're not taking the option that someone else gives you. You're not working under somebody else. You're basically just using whatever you got inside your heart and your connections. My only thing is like, I have 1.5 million ideas, but like, what exactly at what point did you sit down and say, all right, I'm gonna pick this one idea and I'm gonna rock with this until I can make a business out of it and I make enough money where I don't have to sit there worrying about like paycheck to paycheck, for example? Because like, there's a million things we can do, but like, what made you sit down and pick that one idea?
That's a really, really good question. Thank you for asking it. For me, I knew that gathering people was the thing that I loved doing. So I didn't recognize really that there was a business behind it. Like, it was just a natural part of my personality. Also, again, large family. Like, I was taking people's coats and making tea for entire families from like 5 years old. So I'm used to just being in like large gathering spaces. So for me, it was recognizing the things that I'm naturally filled by. And again, as soon as I got to campus, I was in Pink Women. I was with 65 other women, and we were on campus hosting events. Every time I could gather people together, I felt a real sense of fulfillment. And I knew that event planning, for me, was the most satisfying project I've ever been a part of. I got to see it from the first part, which is just an idea in my mind, to then thinking about marketing and how I would get other people interested in it. And then you get to the day of the event, you host the event, and then you're done with it. And that was a really satisfying process for me in the way that I work. And so I think the way that I realized my business was just by really leaning into the things that I was naturally fulfilled by. And I think that gathering people, since I know that's what I love to do, right now it's event planning, but that can be so many different things. It can be community organization, it can be so many things. And so I think knowing the center point purpose, and I know everyone always says it like, whatever you do for free is like the thing you should do. I think on campus, I did a lot of free work for Pink Women. And so I recognized early on that that was the thing that I would do when I had no energy. Like, that was the thing I would always go back to doing. And identifying that really fed me and was that's how I knew that was what I was supposed to be doing. So again, like choosing the business around it, I think kind of just built itself up. Event planning was what I did as an undergrad, and then I went out into the world and found that. But it can be applicable to a million things. So what's the thing that really fulfills you? How can you extract what that skill set is? And then you can apply it again to a million ideas. It's just, if that purpose is there, I really feel like you can't lose. So really identify that purpose and keep, again, just like Mavis said, as soon as you, I lost what you said, that really hit me. Yeah, but, she said something really strong. She said a lot of strong things. Oh man, I really lost it. But yeah, identifying that passion and locking in.
If I could add to that, so Sabrina.
Mavis said be focused in on the work. Keep your eye on the work.
Yeah, she said that.
Is this working?
Yeah.
So Sabrina addressed the passion aspect of entrepreneurship, like doing things that you're passionate about. And I believe he said he's a computer science major, right? Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, you're always assessing risk, right? Like, if I take this route, am I going to be able to survive, right? And being a computer science major, you're going to graduate and you're going to have skills that are in demand. So that addresses the risk side, right? You could walk out the door tomorrow and find a job, right? So a job is not going to be your biggest concern, right? As it pertains to, coming up with a big idea, I think that's a matter of exposure, right? You're consuming information, ideas, and you're going to settle on something that you're, again, back to passion, something that you're passionate about. And then you're going to follow that, and it's going to lead to opportunity, and you're going to exploit it. You're going to capitalize on the opportunity. For me, it's funny how I always, I'm a byproduct of immigrants, right? And we came here with nothing, and so taking risk was not a big deal to me. I remember how I actually decided to become an entrepreneur. My business partner and I, we were working on a contract supporting the Army. And it started off as like a site survey that they paid our respective companies $500,000 to perform. We get there, and my partner and I single-handedly grew the project to like 80 some odd million dollars over the course of a year and a half. My boss bought a private jet. I got a plaque, right? And so it smacked me right in the face that, I can do this myself. And not that I wanted a private jet or anything like that, but the principle behind it is that I have what it takes to actually convert things into something much larger than they were when they started, right? So for me, taking risk, I love risk. I think especially calculated risk where I can predict an outcome, I'm passionate about that. So entrepreneurship, it sounds scary, but if you put that energy out into the ether, it manifests itself into opportunity that you can take advantage of. And yeah, that's kind of my stance on entrepreneurship.
I just wanted to give a little plug. We actually have an entrepreneurship and innovation office on URI's campus in the library on the first floor. Take a left. I'm in there. Come find me if you want to learn more or put your passions to work.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think I'm compelled, and I'd actually be remiss if I didn't mention to you all, first of all, thank you for the panel and your willingness to have this conversation with undergraduates. I think I'm compelled to tell you about the individual who just got through speaking as a panelist, and that would be Robbie Looney. And so what I want to tell you is that today, Robbie Looney committed $100,000 to the College of Business for talent development scholars. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you, Robbie. I was hoping you didn't do that.
Hello. Hello. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yeah.
I get nervous with microphones. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this can be for anyone, whoever you feel it. When you found yourself not being surrounded by your people, like, when you leave RI or go anywhere, like new workforce, how do you go about finding your people?
Hello? No? Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm not to, if you guys jump in at any point. I think to like piggyback on what my sister was saying, when I graduated the College of Nursing, I think I was one of 2 black male nurses. When I got to the hospital that I currently work at, I was one of 2 black male nurses, and they still confused us. Now there's 3, and they still confuse us. So post 2020, does everybody in the room know what a Karen is? A lot of them are nurses. So I was in situations and with people who, not all of them, most of them mean well. They had just never interacted with someone like me in the space that they were in. I'm 6'3", I'm 200 and a lot of pounds. I don't. And again, there was one other one of me, right? So sometimes there are cultural differences, we'll say. And again, people don't know what they don't know. So at first, sometimes it's very difficult to bridge those gaps. And sometimes it feels impossible. Sometimes it doesn't feel like worth doing, you know what I mean? But in the setting that I work in, we work in a team, right? So I need the nurse I'm working with, to know that they can trust me, know that I'm competent, and know that if we work together, we're gonna be able to get this patient the things he needs and get him up out of there and bring another one in, because it's a never-ending cycle. But sometimes, like, that doesn't happen as easily as you want it to, and you don't necessarily have the language to make that connection with these people. But like my sister had said, sometimes you just have to, you gotta focus on the work, right? And you gotta maybe our jokes aren't gonna connect, we're not listening to the same music, we're not watching the same shows, but if I come in and I'm the best nurse that I can possibly be, they can't deny that, right? And they can't, there's no running and tattling to management and saying, black guy number 2 is not pulling his weight, right? So you have to, sometimes when they see that you're capable and that you're not there for no reason, sometimes that can be sometimes when that veil comes down, then people start opening up and it starts becoming a lot easier to connect about different sorts of things. And then, so even if you don't look the same, even if you don't, when you look at them, you don't see tribe, we're all people, right? And we all have a purpose, right? And so you can find ways to bridge those gaps, even if you don't look the same, but if you have a common goal, right? And you're willing to be open and willing to, I don't know, just work as hard as you can. Sometimes, you know what I mean, you find a way. Also, like, you have friends outside of work. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to hang with Barbara when we get home, So keep the people, you know what I'm talking about. So
Amplify that because, this might be controversial for some people, but not everybody goes to work to look for family.
Not me.
Okay, because work is work. Unless you're working for yourself and you can build a community that you want, You have to understand that you've chosen a certain path. Whether it's about race or not race, not everybody is at the same place and has the same benevolent heart and is going to give you the rah, rah, rah. Some people are cutthroat. That's how they move in the world. And so, you have to figure out what you need. Do you really need to come to work and feel like you're in a family? Some people feel like they do to excel, and some people are like, no, I like them. I maybe sometimes do lunch together, but it's not important to me for work to be perceived as a family. Or or get to the level where you're in charge enough to create that community, right? Because you're running things, because you're the director, because you're the boss, or you own your own business. And I think a lot of people get tripped up because they want so much from work, and sometimes forget like what work is actually about. Because let me tell you something, the minute anything happens, they're gonna replace you, okay? It ain't gonna be but 2 seconds before your job is posted. So it's a balance, but you don't always have to find it. And I think sometimes we think like we have to find it at work because we spend so much time there. But you can, as my brother said, you can create community elsewhere, and that'll help you get through whatever it is that you're going through sometimes at work.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
I want to add one more after that too.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, I want to add to that. I think that it is important to find common ground with the people that you're working with, because even though you don't go to work to find a family, it ends up being a family because you're there sometimes more at work than you are at home. Sometimes I see my coworkers more than I see my husband. So with that said, in the beginning, I didn't always get along with all of them, but I think if you find something that you have in common with them, you'll find that you might see yourself in that person. And whatever you have in common with one person is not also the same thing you're gonna have in common with the other person. I have a coworker at work, we talk about Netflix. That's how we bond. Another person, I connect with her in a different way. So I think it is important, even though you don't see people that look like you, when you get to know them, you might be inside of them, if that makes any sense. All right.
All right, so we're gonna take last question. I'd wanna encourage you all to do this. We are going to disperse ourselves from the stage and actually join tables, right? So make it a point that if we can get people at tables and continue the conversation, we're not trying to end conversation, y'all. I promised y'all food, and I'm a woman of my word, so I gotta feed y'all. I don't want anybody's parents calling me saying, you have my baby hungry, talking about their career, right? And so please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hello, my name is Justice, and I am a senior nursing major here. My question can be open to any one of you. My question kind of leads into what you all were talking about how important is it for you to be able to step out of your comfort zone, especially being at a PWI? I think it's important for especially people who look like us, people of color, to be represented everywhere. To toot my horn a little bit, I'm an orientation leader, I'm a tour guide, I'm a URI 101 mentor, a nursing major, CVSA's president, so for me, it's like, when everyone asks me, like, how do you do all this, plus do your major, and you're not your average typical orientation leader or tour guide, it's because my goal is we have to represent. If we want people to respect us and to know that we are knowledgeable and we are just like, no, white people, sorry, then we have to show our faces and we have to stop hiding and put ourselves in these uncomfortable groups and advocate for ourselves and to advocate for one another. So really just like, if you can all kind of, or some one or two can speak about the importance of that, because I feel like a lot of people here on campus, a lot of first years, a lot of new talent development, a lot of the students who are coming out of the COVID transition and everything like that are scared to jump out and join an organization or do anything. I think it's really important for them to be able to do that, to learn about themselves. So.
I'll take a shot at that. And I think this is inherent in all of us here, and as you graduate and enter the workforce, you're just gonna acquire this love me some me, right? I think you have to love yourself and respect yourself. And it sounds like just like something natural, but, and not really feel like you gotta be like anyone else to fit in, right? And part of that comes from being a realist, right? I'm gonna say 10 out of 10 times, my business partner, he's Puerto Rican, he and I are the only people of color in a boardroom. You know, talking to people who think they can get over on us on finances, on strategy, on the understanding technology, you name it, it exists, right? But I don't really take offense to it, right? Because I look at oppression slightly different than most, right? I see oppression as a system that's full of vulnerabilities just waiting to be exploited, right? And I'll give you an example of that, right? The first contract that my company ever won was at the White House, right? And when and no, you're gonna laugh at this, right? And when you and I'm gonna share one of my strategies and whatever. I'll put it out there for everyone to learn from. When you win a contract with the government, you have what they call a stand-up meeting, right? Where you develop a PowerPoint presentation, you discuss with the customer how you're going to run the program, the deliverables, everything that you're going to build for them, and when you're going to deliver it to them, and how you're going to invoice them to get paid, right? So I did the presentation along with one of my employees, a Caucasian person who's a dear friend of mine, and we get to working on the program, and he's my program manager. He's interfacing with the customer, and little did I know, they thought that he owned the business, right? I actually knew that, but I didn't complain because they kept giving us more work and giving us more work. And something happened where they said, hey, Steve, can you obligate Airtech, my company, to do X, Y, and Z? He's like, well, no, you got to talk to the owner. Like, I thought you were the owner. He's like, no, it's that guy over there, me. And so they thought that Steve, the Caucasian, owned the company and not me. Did I complain? Several $1 million later, the message here really is, like, just be careful what you complain about, because, someone's bias, someone's perception of you is a weakness. Like, I'm not the one who needs help, it's that person who, right? Like, you got played, you think I'm stupid, right? And then I get over on you, and that's just the way it works. It's brutal, but you have to be just as nasty sometimes, right? In a very educated, methodical, and thoughtful way. And then they learn to respect you, sadly, and then they become your friends, right? So that's love yourself, love me some me is my mentality.
Anything else, Chris? So what I was gonna say, I think a lot of the different panelists kind of touched on, but a lot of us are first generation, so just seeing like what my mom had to deal with coming to this country, not knowing the language and navigating it, I think we're in a much better position when you're in these spaces that there's not a lot of people who look like you. I think a lot of us have said that's very common, but you just have to be your authentic self. And be comfortable with who you are, understand your value system, and don't stray from that value system. I think I remember my first job where I'm always like a team player, so I was emailing a peer all my work, and he was presenting it consistently in front of people, and I wasn't getting credit. Like, this does happen. You have to understand, after that I started CCing everyone. Like, there's certain tactics that you have to use to navigate the way they do things. I mean, you're gonna be dealing with microaggressions. Sometimes you have to address those individually with the people who you feel are doing that consistently. But overall, if you're just, if you understand who you are, if you understand where you came from and the power of that, I think it makes things a lot easier when you're in these spaces, in these places that sometimes they may misunderstand you. But yeah, just be authentic and just be yourself. You can't go wrong doing that.
Amazing. I just want to say, if everyone could give our panelists another huge round of applause. They are amazing. Absolutely outstanding. Thank you all so much. We have now, in fact, made it to the dinner portion of our program. So I'm going to dismiss tables in an orderly fashion so everyone can get their meals and start networking with each other. So tables 1 through 7, please walk and go through the doors on the left, come out the doors on the right, and we're ready for the next tables. I will dismiss the next group. So tables 1 to 7. Thank you.
Good job, team.